off with just a little background of who I am and my education. I don't know if you're familiar with naturopathic medicine. It's a holistic approach to healing and healthcare. I went to medical school 5 years after a Bachelor of Science. And the only difference in holistic medicine and Western medicine is we actually look at the whole person as a whole person, not as individual symptoms. And that's one of the things that leads me into being so appreciative of what Nerium's doing with these products, is they're really taking the whole person into consideration. And that's something you can really brag about, because with a lot of the supplements out there, companies are looking for ways to separate out ingredients so they can sell them separately. And I'm just so, I got so much respect for Jeff and his team of what they're doing by combining formulas. And it's like, he literally, for example, with just the youth factor, that could be 4 or 5 different supplements that he put in one, right? And I'll go through a little bit more of the details of each one. But I just wanted to start with that because, again, it's really about us bringing convenience and quality to our clients, customers, and prospects. One thing I'd like you to do is, on a piece of paper, write out in one place youth factor, and not too far from it, prolistic, and then also nearby EHT. I don't know if you can see that very well. So something like that. Doesn't have to be exactly. So that under the youth factor, you have the powder and the tablets. Under the prolistic, we have the lotion and the probiotic. And EHT is just a shining star. What can I say? And what we're going to do before the end of the night is I'm going to demonstrate how these 3 categories actually feed each other and fit together. If you're doing these 3, you're pretty much covered, other than specific needs, other than specific medical needs, right? But you do enough of this. Now, I want to preempt something. The supplements are star, no doubt about it. And one thing I've always told patients and friends and family is you cannot rely strictly on supplements to suffice or take care of a poor diet and poor lifestyle. You can't drive through McDonald's or Kentucky Fried Chicken 3 or 4 times a week and think that by taking Prolistic probiotic, that's going to balance it out. Now, it'll help, right? But it's not going to work as well as if you clean up your diet and lifestyle. You do that, and the chances of you getting ill or sick diminish greatly. Does that make sense, everyone? Okay. So what we're going to do is I'm going to hit on a couple of each of these. I'm going to hit on the topics and then show you how they connect to each other. And if you have questions, just type them in and we'll take care of them a little bit later. There'll be a section, a time frame for some questions and answers, if you have any. We'll start with the youth factor. And again, I'm not going to get too technical because that's not what our job is. And I want to start and end with probably the most important statement. If you look at any of the ingredients, if you look at this stuff on our website, on our back page, or anywhere, this is probably the most important thing to keep in mind. These statements, or anything we talk about with these products, have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration, or the FDA, in the United States or Canada. We don't stake claim to curing anything. What we're doing is supporting the body to be its best, make things better. So live better, live healthier. And the way to do that is to provide the body the tools that it needs to do its job right. None of these products by themselves take over any functions of the body. What they do is they help the body to function better. So, for example, with the youth factor, the powder, which has a complex of several different things, which I just think is brilliant. You know, it comes in a freeze-dried powder that actually tastes good, not because sugar was added. Some of the ingredients are naturally sweet that way. right? And that's what we can always tell people, because I've had a couple ask me, is there any sugar in here? Because it tastes good. No, the youth factor powder is that flavor because of the natural ingredients. If you look, for example, with the youth factor, when we look at the powder, there are several different complexes in it. And I'm just going to highlight each one. I'm not going to go through each ingredient. You can do that on your own in the back office, or you can put in Nerium ingredients / holistic or youth factor. You can get all the list. But when we talk about, for example, the youth factor enzyme blend, I want to get clear for people to understand that enzymes are not to be confused with probiotics. Okay, so enzymes, like we have in the youth factor blend, help to break the food down. That's what an enzyme does, whether it's a protein enzyme or carbohydrate enzyme. You don't need the details. You just need to know that enzymes in our youth factor blend help to break food down, which makes it more available for the body to use. Does anyone, I'm sure many of you have heard that statement, you are what you eat. Well, as a naturopath, what I can tell you is that's only partially true. Because if you eat a really good diet, but you're not absorbing well, you're not that. So you have to be able to break it down and absorb it and utilize it. And that's what the enzyme blend does. The next in the complex is what we call the complex NAA. Again, I'm not going to go into detail, but what it is, antioxidant-rich complex. Now, the beauty of what this one's doing is it's not only antioxidant. I don't know if you remember. If you do, wave a hand or something, but you remember the game Pac-Man? All right, for those who remember, the big yellow thing that would go around and eat up the other little pieces of stuff that were floating around. Well, the yellow thing, the big, was the antioxidant. And what it does in our bodies, just like in our formula here, it goes around and eats up free radicals. So you might be asking or thinking, well, where do we get free radicals? Believe it or not, our bodies produce it, some, and our lifestyle and diet exposes us to the rest. So free radicals are things like, think of carpet fumes when you're smelling that, or perfumes or colognes. They may make people smell good, but you're being exposed to these chemical compounds that act as free radicals in our body. Now, that's okay as long as we're taking in enough antioxidants, which most people are not. That's the beauty of powder, youth factor powder. You dump this stuff in 8 ounces of cool water, cold water, you drink it, and you have the equivalent of 4 to 5 fruits and vegetables in a freeze-dried powder. So you're getting it quickly, and it saturates and absorbs very easily into the body. The antioxidant formula, we talk a lot about immune system. It's always up in conversation, especially at certain times of the year. Spring, we talk about allergies. In the fall, we talk about getting sick with flus and whatnot. Believe it or not, a good exposure to antioxidants actually can help your immune system to function better, because it helps to break down the free radicals that we're exposed to. That's why when we say, if you read this, the antioxidant-rich blend offers immune support. It's doing that because it's helping break down the free radicals. And then there's some other specifics in here in the powder mix. Again, I'm not going to go into all the details. Coenzyme Q10, great for brain health, for heart health, for things. It's a nice blend. When we get into the youth factor blend for the tablets, right, how important it is for us to understand the functioning of the cell itself. It's like saying, if I have a car and I've got a great body on the car and great tires and I've got great seats and an interior, all that's wonderful, but none of it matters if you don't have a great engine. All right. And guess what our engine is? Inside each cell is this little thing that we call the mitochondria. They are the cell's engine. They are producing the power, the energy. And the Youth Factor tablet mix combination formula actually helps the mitochondria. Again, we're talking about they don't do the job, they help the mitochondria to do its job. You make a healthy mitochondria, you make healthy energy. You have healthy energy, you feel better. And when you're doing that, see, one of the reasons that I am so appreciating these products and how they work together is because if we look at society, it's my contention that we are getting more and more obese because we're not getting enough nutrition out of the food we're eating. So we keep thinking we need to eat more. We're still feeling hungry. If you eat more quality, you'll eat less quantity. So that's really what it boils down to. And when you combine the tablet and the powder in the Youth Factor blend, you're going to improve the quality of what your body can digest and metabolize. And when you improve the quality, you can decrease the quantity. That's why a lot of people are saying, I'm not having some of the same cravings. I'm not really trying, but I'm dropping some weight. That's because it's helping your body to function better. Doesn't that make sense? So if you nod, I can see that you're nodding and not falling asleep. Okay, good. All right, again, superfood blend in the tablet and in the enzyme blend. Superfoods, if you look up online, you just look up superfoods, you'll see that there is a list of things that they offer. Superfood blend, of course, stimulates better cellular function, increased mitochondria function, can help guard against free radical damage. I mean, everything about these products is to help our body be at its best, really. And it's simple. It's one tablet, one packet. You do one a day, one and one, and you've got a really good foundation for good health. Now, again, you can't just take a tablet and a powder and go eat fast food or have a donut and coffee for breakfast. It just doesn't work that well. Right? I like to take the Youth Factor powder and sometimes I throw it in a smoothie in the morning. I personally like to use my Youth Factor in the afternoon. You know, that 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock kind of dip you're starting to feel? To me, it takes me out of the dip and brings it back to kind of a level with just a nice little energy boost that helps me get through the afternoon in time to get home, relax, shower, make a nice healthy dinner. That's when I use it. You can use it whenever it works for you. One thing I always like to tell people is you figure out what works best for you. Okay? So that's the Youth Factor combination. Let's get into the Prolistic, because this is just mind-blowing in a good way, right? When we talk about Prolistics, I really want to get everyone clear and understanding that if you were to take a sample of your skin and put it under a microscope, you'll find that naturally occurring bacteria live on your skin. They're supposed to be there. That's why most of the time, if you get cut, you don't get an infection. You don't get exposed to things because you've got these bacteria that help protect your skin. Now, what happens is with our modern day soaps, most lotions, again, things that we put on our skin can actually interfere with the normal function of these normal bacteria that are supposed to be on the skin. So people who bathe in the morning, I always tell them, look, if you like that morning shower, you got a picture. I used to live with an 82-year-old woman and her husband, and she used to say, my shower in the morning is just my pits and privates. Okay? We don't need to rub soap all over the rest of our body, because then what that does is it makes your body exposed for hours, because you're wiping off the bacteria. You're wiping off this thing that's called an acid mantle, because soaps are so neutralizing. So if you like that morning shower, just do a couple of areas. And I'm telling you, turn the water up about as warm as you can take it. And then right before you're ready to get out, switch it to cold and stand under there for like 15 to 20 seconds. I guarantee you, you'll be as about awake as you need to be. You won't even need coffee. It is amazing. You talk about a natural high, natural get ready for your day. Now, you can do that later in the day too, just so you know. All right. I always like to tell people, if you really want a good full shower, why don't you shower at the end of the day? That way you're crawling into bed clean and you have left your body safe for the day. In the event that other things are happening, lotion, the probiotic lotion, the Prolistic lotion. When we talk about in this formula, these formulas where we have a probiotic and prebiotic, as in the Pro Renew Plus, think about probiotics. What are they? We talked about enzymes for digesting food. Probiotics are the good bacteria, the bacteria that's supposed to be there, the bacteria that helps us live and thrive. Without it, we all die. So this bacteria on your skin is applied. Now, the one thing that, and this is still such, I don't know how to say, but I've never seen a formula that includes not only the probiotic, but the food that feeds these bacteria. So we talk about two of the most researched strains of bacteria, the Lactobacillus acidophilus and the Bifidobacterium. Now, you don't need to remember the names. You just need to know they are the two most studied bacterial strains that we call probiotic. So for anyone who's asking, what is a probiotic? You could just say it's bacteria that add to your natural life. Has anyone here ever taken an antibiotic? So nod if you have. Yes, most of us probably have. Well, antibiotic is for killing things, anti-life. The probiotic adds life. Well, they put it in a lotion. It's a lotion that puts on your skin. Now, I've even given it to a couple of people, not to cure them, but I've had a couple of clients or customers or prospects who had some diabetes, and you can tell what was happening to the skin and the stuff around their lower legs and their feet. I gave it to this one woman recently. She put it on, and I'm telling you, within 15, 20 seconds, it was absorbed. She looked down at her feet and she said, "Are you kidding?" Like, it worked that fast, because she could start to feel and see some of the change. Now, it's not an overnight, but it absorbed quickly, and she started to feel better. The skin, because it was so dry. Sometimes they just have a hard time, all right? So the probiotic, prebiotic. So prebiotics are the food for the probiotics. And they put it both in the lotion as well as in the Prolistic powder mix. Now, I don't know if any of you have seen it, but we recently saw, thanks to Ellery, who sent us out a video showing how Damon was feeding the probiotic or Prolistic probiotic powder to Hattie, who is what now, about a year and a half? Mm-hmm. She literally was like sticking her tongue out to get this stuff. So it is safe for children. They may not need the full dose, but they could. Most likely they don't need it, especially at that age. But they like the flavor, and it's health inducing. It helps to support. All right. So that's the Prolistic lotion. And the probiotic is a powder. Right? Again, with the probiotic, prebiotic combined in a freeze-dried. Here's the other beautiful thing. Jeff and his team, I got to give credit to the scientists also, right? Because they're doing their homework. They are leading the industry in some way, in part of some of the other companies, but not too many, in understanding that probiotics, these bacteria strain, are best served in a freeze-dried form, right? So that's all they're doing, is they take them, the strains, they freeze-dry them. And then basically what it does is it suspends them in a sleep state. It's brilliant, okay? By then taking it, they wake back up once they hit our stomach and small intestine. Now, for those who are out there and looking at other probiotics, you might see where they say, oh, this one has 20 billion CFUs. This one has 50 billion CFUs per dose. That's a waste. Your body doesn't even know what to do with that much. The research has shown that 15 billion CFUs, which means, and you don't need to remember this, just for your sake, colony forming units, What that means is that's all the body can deal with. It handles that. It helps to support the GI tract and normal function and health of the GI tract, your gut, to function at its best. Because again, you can eat the greatest diet, but if you're not digesting it well, if you're not breaking it down well, if you're not absorbing it well, it's not doing you any good. Okay? That's why this is such a beautiful combination. And last but not least for now, because this may not be our last time to do something like this, but for tonight, I definitely do not want to miss out on EHT. I got to tell you, if it wasn't for Ellery sending me a box of EHT and telling me, you take this, if you don't feel something, the conversation's over. But if you feel something, you're signing up as my brand partner. Needless to say, she's a little influential, okay? So 10 days into my regime, now it's going to be different for everyone, but typically within a week or two, most people will start to feel a little something. For me, I had woken up the next morning after my 10th day of taking it and had the most vivid dream I had had in years. Like, it was so real. I actually woke up and started looking around for the characters. And that to me was a wake-up call. And then I just said, okay, well, I'm going to finish out the month. And then when I had the ability to recall things, little things, like, why did I walk in this room? Where did I leave my keys? What was that word I was thinking about? And within 10 seconds, 15, 20 seconds, it would come back. And I was like, what is this? So I started looking into it. And again, I'm not going to go into all the science, but it was what it does, because I was just watching. If you haven't seen any, I highly recommend going on YouTube and looking at Dr. Daniel Amen, who supports this. Daniel Amen is a neuroscientist and medical doctor who has researched brain and brain health for over 3 decades, over 30 years. He's done over 80,000 brain scans. He supports EHT. And the reason is again, it doesn't take over the function of the brain. It helps the brain nerves to function better. It helps supply the nerves to do what they're meant to do. And that's really an important separate, because we're not saying we fix anything. We're not saying we cure anything. We're helping the brain to do what it was meant to do and what it used to do. But with lifestyle, with stress, with poor sleeping, all these things get in the way of the brain being able to function properly and healthy. EHT allows the nerves to connect. That's why you start to remember things. That's why you can have a recall. It allows the nerves to start talking back to each other. Because sometimes when nerves age, the connection there begins to either separate, or one nerve begins to kind of shrink up a bit. And what the EHT does is allows the proteins in the nerves to have it be strong again for the recreation. That's why you're able to like pull a memory back out of storage. That's about as deep as I'm going to go with this. All I can tell you is look at what they're using. Look at who they're using it on. Brain injuries, kids of all ages with ADD, ADHD, and concussions. You name it. Now, it doesn't stop there. When your brain starts to function better, other parts of your body will function better. And I always like to say, look, I promise you'll get some results. I don't know to what degree, and I don't know which results those are, but these results are practically guaranteed, right? The only 100% guarantee is that you're going to stop living someday, right? And for those in the United States, you have to pay taxes. But outside of that, EHT provides your brain with the function it needs. And I'll never forget, and I'll close with this for now. I think it was Patrick Murphy talking to Shell Murphy, who's saying, honey, I don't know if this EHT is working. Don't bother spending your money on it anymore. You don't have to buy it anymore. And what he realized was after about a week or two of not using it is when he noticed how well it was working. After a couple of weeks, he called her back and he said, would you order me some more of that stuff? Because I'm not recalling as well. So that's when you notice, because it's subtle until it's not, until you don't have it anymore. All right. I think that's about all I had. All I want to do is to end with understanding that the youth factor works in conjunction with the Prolistic powder on the inside and the Prolistic lotion on the outside, because the skin is connected to your overall body's health. So the skin is important as a barrier from the outside world and as a protector to the inside world. If your skin is not healthy, the inside world is not as healthy. It lets too much stuff in. So you want a healthy skin, and you want the things that help the skin to be healthy from the inside, which includes proper hydration and enough of it. Then the Prolistic lotion and the youth factor both work better when EHT is in the picture. So you see, this is like, you know that saying in horse racing? This is the trifecta. And this is it right here. Okay? So I'm going to stop there. If you have any questions, you can type them up. And I don't know if we have, I'm okay to stay on for a little longer. So if you want to type them in or raise your hand.
Could we ask people to just unmute? I think that's faster. It'll go faster. We have time for a few questions if you're willing to stay on, and you said you have. So you can. I saw
Linda raised her hand.
Just raise your hand, and he will call on you. Good. Please, go ahead.
Mitchell, not that it's a cure or anything, but this is good for, EHT is good for Parkinson's as well.
We don't say it cures anything. All I can say is it helps the brain to function. So and again, we don't know exactly how. All we know is that it helps the nerves in the brain to connect. And it's probably doing other things. If you look at the list of ingredients of EHT, it's not just the EHT. Understand, EHT, when you refer to it, it's not, you can say it as EHT, but it's really a combination. So it's EHT as the supplement, but EHT by itself is actually the compound extract from the coffee bean. So there's really kind of two different things. We just refer to it as the EHT supplement, but the EHT really is the complex from coffee. All right. So that is what has gotten all the research. Because if you look at the other ingredients in the EHT supplement, you know, we talk about vitamin D, B6, B12. Those are important for nerves also, which is why, again, it's a beautiful combination. Okay. I don't know if that helps.
Thank you.
Okay. I noticed there was another hand went up, I believe.
Yeah.
Anybody else?
I have a question.
Okay.
My question is about EHT, and I don't know if you can help me with this, because when I was taking it, it really helped with all the things you were saying about cognitive function. But for some reason, I tried it off and on for about 6-7 months, and every time I started it again, it was causing anxiety and my heart to race every night. And I go off of it for a few weeks and then try it again. And I tried both Canadian and US brand, and it literally caused my heart to race every night. And so I don't know if that's just something out of sync with my system, or if it was something, because I also can't have any caffeine at all. So do you know anyone else that's had that happen?
Some people have a sensitivity to the hyperzine, which is one of the ingredients in the formula. So again, if it's the EHT by itself is probably not causing that, and understand that there's no caffeine. It's an extract from the coffee bean. So there's really not a stimulant. It's just the proteins that they extracted from the coffee bean. But you may have a slight sensitivity to what's called the hyperzine, which is one of the ingredients. It comes from a plant, and some people have been known to be a little sensitive. So you could try, I don't know if you've tried cutting your dose down until you build it up a little bit. Like you might try a half a tablet. I cut them in half. I usually do 1.5 a day. So if you want to try it again, try cutting it in half and start with a half a tablet and see how you react. And then I don't know if you're including it or eating, taking it with food. That could make a big difference. It's important also to help with some of the absorption to have some food, especially some fat, whether it's, you know, an avocado or some nut butter or, you know, something like that will help.
I didn't think that correct me if I'm wrong. Does the Canadian formula have the hyperazine? Because I don't think it was in the Canadian formula.
I'm not sure. I don't know the Canadian formula.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Can I ask a question, please, Mitchell?
Yes. Yes, Sharon.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
With the Prolistic lotion, I've seen amazing results of it helping on the outside of the skin. How far into the skin does it get absorbed? Does it absorb into our bloodstream? And can it help with inflammation under your skin, like say bits of eczema? Bits of arthritis.
I'm not going to answer that only because there's no evidence that it can do things like decrease inflammation, especially in joints. So that one would be one for the scientists. And as far as how far it absorbs, well, anything you put on your skin that has any absorbability is going to eventually get into circulation. Now, in the transfer from the outer of the skin to the inner of the skin, sometimes certain parts of the compounds are broken down, but yes, some will get in. Just not too much, because you're again, when you're with this formula, for example, with the Prolistic lotion and the ProNew Plus complex, mostly what they're delivering there is compounds that help with maintaining your skin's natural hydration. Right? Our body actually loses water through the skin. You may not even feel it through sweat, but you're maintaining a body temperature of 98.6, give or take a couple of degrees, is going to cause you to lose water, especially at night when you're sleeping. You don't think about it. That's why it's a nice thing to apply the lotion at night. You can do it more than once a day. And I always tell people, everybody's different. You have to try to figure out what's going to work for you. As far as, helping with joints, I can't go there. All right.
I'm trying it on my mother, I'll tell you.
Good. Now remember, it's only a part of the story. The rest is diet, lifestyle, and here's another beautiful contribution is live happy. And I'll leave you with this, Sharon, is sometimes it's been referred to with things like arthritis as people who kind of have had a tendency or history of being angry. So if there's any truth in there, you might want to figure out what makes her happy. Because sometimes joy and happiness and laughter can elicit more healing and cure than any kind of supplement or especially any kind of lotion. So get her some funny videos and try that out for a couple weeks.
She's 88.
That's all right. They still know how to laugh at 88.
Yeah. She's doing well. Okay,
oh, good.
thanks,
Oh, good. Fantastic.
Mitchell,
yes.
I'd like to say, and I would want to say to you, you are one of the most professional and approachable naturopaths I have ever met in my entire life. And I think all of us feel the same way, that we're totally honoured to have you on our team and know that we can reach out to you. And I just love the Zooms that you give us. Thank you very much from my heart.
Thank you, Lynette. I appreciate that.
We might have time for one more question. Does anybody have a burning question while we have Dr. Michell on the phone? And then whoever invited you to this Zoom, you are welcome to call them back and discuss and ask questions. And if you want to order or whatever, we also have videos about this. Nothing compared to what Dr. Michell just did. I agree with you, Lynette. I feel so blessed that he's on our team, and the big heart and the love of giving to others, being of service to others is just fantastic. So one more question, please.
Yes, please.
Teresa.
Pick me. Can I have it?
Teresa.
Sorry, Ellery. Thank you for that. Yes, Dr. Mitchell, thank you so much for being so informative and explaining it all to us. I don't want to sound like a weirdo with what I'm going to say, but, and please don't think I'm a moaner because I'm not that sort of person, but I have MS and I've had it since I was 21 and now I'm 52. So I'm thinking this EHT thing would be very good for me, I believe. I don't really struggle with my MS. I self-medicate, as you probably know. It's legalized in some places, but not where I am. So I have to be really careful about that out loud. But the EHT, I think, sounds very exciting. But the other thing I was going to ask is last year I got cancer, and it lives on estrogen. And they said that could be so much as plant estrogen as well. I was to avoid that. So I have no idea about the ingredients of anything we're taking or using. I use the base stuff. I love all the Nerium products. I think it works awesome. But I was just wondering, is there plant estrogen in the EHT, do we think? And I know that's a tall ask. I'm sorry. I don't mean to be difficult.
First of all, you're not difficult. I can appreciate that question. I did not see anything in the list of EHT ingredients that would indicate that there were estrogen type mimics, what we call anything that would stimulate estrogen receptors. To the best of my knowledge, there's nothing here that would do that.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. That's
and as
great
far
news.
as, yeah, and again, you know, we're still pretty young in the whole field of understanding a lot of this stuff. So I really don't feel comfortable saying definitively 100% that there's nothing that's causing any kind of reaction. I can't do that, right? And anyone who tells you that they can or they try to, you know, is not doing themselves a justice. That's why I think that for the United States, that's why we have the FDA, to try to keep us in line with making false claims. We're not going to say anything here cures anything. If you just happen to get better, God bless you. Okay?
Thank you.
You're very
Oh,
welcome.
I'm not sick anyway. I'm great. But
Oh, yes, you
just
look great.
checking to make sure I've got all the ticks and next to the boxes they'll ask me. They don't move as fast as I do, those people in neurology and that.
Now, I will tell you one last thing in closing, especially with DHT. I'm working with someone here, a brand partner in the South Florida area, Orlando. And she had some health issues and found that she had to alter the dosage around a bit. First, she was doing 1 tablet a day, started noticing some improvement in her issues, which I'm not going to go into. And it wasn't drastic like she was hoping, but it was enough that it really stimulated her thinking. Like, wow, I'm wondering how I am doing better. Somebody told her try 2 tablets. Now, I've heard that when Jeff is on the go, he'll do 2. You know, because you can. It's safe enough for the most part, right? So she tried 2. She did 1 in the morning and 1 in the evening. Again, started to notice another element of improvement. But it wasn't as drastic as she was hoping for. Then somebody turned around and said, well, why don't you do 2 together in the morning? That changed everything for her. She now has the kind of energy that allows her to be alive and be out and going until, you know, later in the evening. I mean, after one regional one night, we all went dancing. She didn't get home till like after midnight and was up and going the next morning. Usually that would have taken her out. In other words, she would have needed at least the day just lying on the couch and recovering. But this time, the next morning by 10 o'clock, she was up with breakfast and going about her day and was fine. And she says, absolutely, it was the 2 taken together in the morning. So I leave you with, you got to play a little bit with the dosage because your bodies are all different. Your weight is different. How you metabolize is different. So you can't just say one prescription cures all or one dosage is the same for everyone. You got to play with that. All right. Last thing on my list.
I will tell you guys, Jeff Olson takes 3. Maybe not every day, but there's a move. So yes, that's really, really good advice. I'm going to take 2 in the morning just to see what that feels like.
Try it out. Okay, you ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
What is that?
I got it.
We're playing Sweet Caroline. And
Are you ready?
we all know who have been with Jeff Olson for a while, it's his absolute favorite song. And Saturday night at the convention in Las Vegas, to close out the white party, Jeff will have the band play Sweet Caroline, and we'll all sing. And then he has them play it again, and we all sing. And then he'll have them play it again. And by the time we've done it for the third time, it's like, could you stop now? And then you listen to it in your head for the next 3 weeks, right?
Yes. It's a lot of fun. You're driving down the road and singing it in the car, and people are looking at you. But I don't know. When I hear it, even now, I kind of get choked up to think that you might have 8,000 or 10,000 people holding hands, singing this song, and it's like a huge family.
Yeah.
So, from my heart to yours, thank you for allowing me to be here and to be of service in this way. And I just appreciate you all. And have a great evening.
Thank you, Lynette. Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. Big hugs and kisses to you all.
Thank
Yay. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. See you. Thank
Bye,
you.
Karen.